HTML forms. Now, HTML forms is pretty important. It's how you will be able to solicit information from visitors to your website, whether you want them to do a login or login ID and password for them to get information as far as blog postings, things of that sort. So with this simple form that we set up, we're just simply asking for the person's first name and last name. And of course we have the form HTML tag, and the action we'll talk about a little bit later. The input type is text. The name is something that's handled by the server-side scripting. Once we get into that, and that's a later session, into some advanced server-side scripting languages. But again, this first command simply is again a form where we can simply put our name. So I'll just type my name, Eric, and last name Hamilton. And again, the input type text name is of course first name, and then last name is last name. And again, this allows us to input simple text for usage. The next, we're going to demonstrate a simple or sample login and password, and this is a representation of that. You'll see that we have the username, and then the input type is text, the name is user, and that is really defined by what you want to call it. Again, your server-side scripting will handle that, and then that's another session. The input type is password, the name is password, and for passwords are special because it encrypts and hides the password. So let's say, for instance, let's go ahead and type in my username, and then if I type in my password and if someone is looking over my shoulder, we don't want that password to be displayed to them so they can steal it. So that is hidden and encrypted there on the screen for your user's safety. Next, we're going to be demonstrating checkboxes. So of course we have our form, and then we have input type checkbox, and then this name, we call it vehicle, value is bike. So we have bike, car, and airplane, and we can simply check and uncheck these boxes as we see fit. Again, this is type vehicle, and the value is bike here, and again we can check and uncheck these boxes based on what we want. And you will potentially could set this up if you want to give your say an online quiz where you're allowing your users to make selections. Next, we're going to demonstrate radio buttons. And radio buttons, it's only one selection that can be selected. Like checkboxes, you can have multiple checks. With the radio button, either it's one or the other. For instance, in this radio example, it's either you're selecting either male or female. So you have your action, your input, your type, of course, is radio. Your checked is checked. So what that will do is it'll automatically select male as default. Name, we have sex, value, of course male, and of course these values are handled by your server-side scripting, and we'll get to that in a later session. So again, we can select male or female. Again, we only have one choice. We cannot select both because its radio buttons are designed to force you into a choice. Next, we have the option list. So here we can allow our users to select options. So this is the car option list. Of course, we have our form. We have to select name is cars, and then we have our option values from the value of Volvo, Saab, Fiat, and so forth. And what we see on the right-hand side is, in the drop-down, is a list of the different values that we can have selected. So in our next example, I'll show you how we can predetermine a selected value in the option list. Here, I want the default pre-selected value to be Fiat. So you'll see that selected equals the selected Fiat. Again, because maybe you may have a need for for a default value to allow your users to make selections a lot quicker. So you'll see that the default value here is fiat. Next, we've got the text area. So text areas, again, for getting large quantities of content from people. You might want to have them type out a paragraph. And here you simply have the text area. And then we have it defined by rows and columns. So we've got it 10 rows by 30 columns, a nice size text area. And then right here, I've got some default text already in here. So I can start off as blank, or I can start off with the default text that I have here, which is the cat was playing in the garden is the default text. Next is submit button. So for any information that you would potentially submit over the internet, you've got to have a button that says submit. So this one just says hello world, but of course we start off with our form, our input type is submit, the value is hello world. That's what we want it to see. But normally by default you'll see instead of hello world you'll see the word submit there to let people know to click the button to submit their data to you. Next we're going to talk about field sets. So field sets allow you to group form items. So you'll see that we have the field set command around the height and weight, and again what this is good for is grouping your input boxes. Makes for a cleaner looking website. This is a more advanced command because some web browsers may not support field sets. Most do, some may not, but if it does not, it will just appear as a blank, but your input fields would definitely appear. So here I would just type in, a height and weight, and of course if this were a real form with a submit, I could click on the button and then that data would be transferred to the server. And last thing we're going to talk about is the mail to. So this form is set up to simply mail the results to a specific email address. So I've got the action equals mail to, and this is info@thewebacademy.com. So you imagine that anything that's submitted here would automatically come to this email address, and then the text would appear in the body. And then the rest of these items you're familiar with that I talked about earlier, with the name, the email. These are all just text fields that you can add and change. So you'll see that I'm adding my name, and it's not that address. Let's pick a different address. Let's do my email1906@Yahoo. And then if I want to add some comments, I could say something like testing email, and then I would click submit. So that is it for forms. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration of forms, and you have a great day. Bye-bye now.